بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله.
As the gender war rages on, in order to keep the peace, we must discuss the exact facts. Welcome to EXFAKTLY. I am your host, Saudi Mam. Remove your shoes, enter upon your right foot, upon the right state of mind. Again, I'm coming to you from the same location as last week, so therefore there may be some background noise, and I apologize for that. Topic: Men want women. Why art thou alone? Men want women. Why art thou alone? Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Quran that of all the things Allah Ta'ala created, suns, heaped up hoards of gold and silver, and the rest of what He created, Allah Ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Zuyyina linnasi hubbu shahawat minan nisa'i. Allah Ta'ala says, of the treasures, of the things that man desires, his love, the love of what he desires, lust even. Allah Ta'ala says, among the women. It's the first thing that He named. Then He goes into sons, heaped up hoards of gold and silver, horses, so on and so forth. This is telling us of what man covets. Women is at the top of the list of the treasures and adornment of this dunya. So you can see where women would rank in the eyes of men as far as what they desire. And because we are in the last days, men are turning their lust toward things that are not women. For instance, someone mentioned that in Atlanta alone, if every man married a woman, or I changed that, let me alter that, let me modify that. They said there's one man to every 17 women in Atlanta alone if you factor in the gay population. If you factor in the gay population, there is 17 women for every one man.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
So therefore, that is a problem, very problematic. Allah Ta'ala addressed this issue prior. He addressed this issue prior, and it's not a new issue because the Qawm Lut approached the men of Qawm Lut approached the men with their lust and left off the women. Allah Ta'ala says in Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Innakum la ta'tuna excuse me, let me start over. Innakum la ta'tuna rijala shahwatan min dunin nisa'i. Allah Ta'ala says, you lust after men instead of women. Again, verily you approach, la ta'tuna, approach, ar-rijal, the men, shahwatan, in lust, or lustfully, min duni, and leave off or besides, and nisa'i, the women. So Allah Ta'ala is addressing a society or people that will approach men lustfully and leave off women. What does Allah say about these people? Allah says, Bal antum qawmun musrifun. Bal antum qawmun musrifun. You are certainly extremist. You are certainly transgressors. You are certainly extremist. So Allah Ta'ala talked about this behavior and this desire as something that is extreme. All of this building upon the fact that men like women in their nature. Men like women. It is only a corrupt nature that makes men not like women. Now, last week we talked about the incels. They hate women and they hate men that get women because they're involuntarily celibate. That's why they call themselves incel. Many among the red pill community talk against marriage, and a lot of them seem like they dislike women. They like feminine traditional women, but they have given up on the fact that those may even exist still. Nevertheless, men like women, and it's unnatural for men not to like women. Today, the lines of what separates a man and a woman have been obscured, obscured lines. The lines have been fogged. Allah Ta'ala says in Quran again, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وليس ذكر كالأنثى وليس ذكر وليس ذكر كالأنثى وليس ذكر كالأنثى, that the men or the male is not like walaysa, and not is the male kal or ka, which is in comparison or like kal unta, like the female. Now, what was this in reference to? Of course, a child was prayed for, Zachariah, the family of Ali Imran. A child was prayed for, and they were in hopes that that child would be a male child because that child had duties and responsibilities in the temple, in the masjid. When they gave birth to a female child, they said, "We have given birth to a female child." And Allah says He knew very well what they gave birth to. وَلَيْسَ ذَكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى, and the male is not like the female. See, this was all because they had plans and a role for that male child to play if it would have been a male, but because it was a female, they could not assume that role. This tells you not only is men not like women, or males not like females, but this also tells you that men naturally desire women, and it also tells you that it is unnatural and extremist behavior to approach for men to approach men, and for women to approach women lustfully like they would naturally do each other. Now we have this issue that a Christian would tell you that lust is evil and lust is bad. No, lust is natural. Depends on who you approach with your lust and how you go about satisfying those natural lusts. Nevertheless, men desire women. Why art thou alone? Men desire women. Men want women. Women are naturally the object of lust of the man or of men. So this is why the hijab is very important. Allow your husband to lust after you and not strange men. Your husband should not be lusting after strange women. He should be lusting after his wife. And this is what the hijab is about. One of the wisdoms of that. One of the main wisdoms of it. But if men are looking toward and viewing women as the enemy, or as done, or as struggle, then that tells you there's a problem. Have the men stopped being traditional and natural? I have the women stop being traditional and natural. Again, I like to put out a disclaimer that a lot of good women, a lot of good traditional women be like, what is this guy talking about? What's up with this red pill community? What's up with this manosphere? What's up with these incels? What's up with these MGTOWs and stuff like that? They won't understand it because they are in their natural female frame. So if a woman wants a man to desire her, she has to be in her natural female frame. This is all that we're talking about. This is all that men are requesting. Women want traditional men. Open the door, walk on the outside of the sidewalk, on the street side of the sidewalk. Let me walk on the inside. You know, someone grabs your purse, you chase them. There's a knock on the door, you answer it. If it's in the wee hours, there's a noise outside, you go find out what that's about. A guy offends me, you fight in my honor. You carry the bills. We go on a date. You will handle the bill. We won't go Dutch, as they say, where the man pays for himself and the woman pays for herself, or the man assumes the woman would pay. Women, sometimes women will pay, but 99% of the time, 99.9, the man is always seen as the one that will pay, unless otherwise it is negotiated. So, nevertheless, this is saying that women want traditional men to pay the bills, so on and so forth, especially if they get pregnant. They want men to carry the bills. They don't want to pay any significant bills, so on and so forth. So all of this is women requesting natural, traditional men. But what about the man's request for a traditional woman? Bernie Mac had part of his stand-up routine. He would talk about how black people are the only people. We're not. This is not for black people, this podcast, but nevertheless, is one of his examples. Black people are the only people that will go to work and tell the boss what they ain't gonna do. This is something that is comical, yet it's true. They will go to work and tell the boss what they ain't gonna do. Women would expect a man to be traditional and handle what he needs to handle, but yet they will say that I'm not gonna do this and I'm not gonna do that. Nobody's gonna make me do this and nobody's gonna make me do that. This is not correct. It is not feminine. It is not womanly, and it's not ladylike. Any woman that requests or expects a man to be traditional should be traditional herself. Fellas, if you get you a feminine woman, if she is feminine in her womanly frame, her feminine frame, her natural frame, her traditional frame, hold on to her. She is a lost treasure these days. A feminine woman is a lost treasure. Today, women tell us that I will be feminine for a man that deserves it. I will be feminine for the right man. What if a man says, I will fight off a burglar for the right woman? I will pay the bills of the right woman. I will answer the bump in the night. Go find out what that is for the right woman. Someone snatches your purse, I'll retrieve it for the right woman. Someone disrespects your honor, I will beat him down for the right woman. What if a man says, I will be masculine for the right woman and only the right woman? Would that make any sense? Would that sound right? But we hear constantly and every day that women are saying, I will be feminine for the right man. Now, either you're feminine or you're not. Either you're feminine or you're not. I remember the old show Seinfeld when Elaine she took a job as an assistant for someone that knew Jacqueline Onassis. Someone knew Jacqueline Onassis, and Elaine took a job as an assistant to this individual, this man. So his I don't know if it was an estate manager or whatever. It was someone that had a position that handled a lot of his affairs, separate from what Elaine would do. Elaine was like a traveling secretary. She cater to him, so on and so forth. So this woman was interviewing Elaine, and the woman says, "Do you have grace?" Because Jacqueline Onassis had grace. Elaine said, "I have some grace." And the lady said, "No, no, no, no. You don't. No one has some grace. Either you have grace or you don't." And this is the point that I'm making. Either you're feminine or you're not. Either you're traditional or you're not. Either you're womanly or you're not. Anyone that says they'll be feminine, or womanly, or traditional, or natural for the right man is not feminine, is not womanly, is not natural, is not traditional. These are the facts. So if men want women, why you can't find a man? And then you will say that why don't you have a woman? Why have a woman? You say, but you say, why don't you have a woman? They'll throw that back at a man. Well, like I say, women control access to relations, sex. Men control access to relationships in marriage. Men control access to that. Because a man that want to marry you, there's nothing you can do to make him marry you. Okay? Women will get married to a man they don't even like if he has resources, if he has something that outweighs the part that they don't like. They'll marry him. They may cheat on him. They may have a dude on the side, so on and so forth. But yet and still, they'll marry that person based on resources alone. And some women may marry a rich. Some men may marry a rich woman if resources are there. If he's that type of that type of gigolo type thing, he may marry a woman that's rich. That's possible. But we're talking about more than not. We're talking about the high percentage. The norm, and the norm is men want women. And if men want women and you can't seem to find a man, then what frame are you in? What frame are you in? Allah Ta'ala says of the zina, of the adornment, of the treasures of this life, men want women more than any other thing. So why you can't find a man? And as Muslim, you can't say, well, the good men are taken. No, no, no. The good men are available. If they don't have four wives, the good men are available. The good men are available. Well, I don't want to wreck a home. What's he thinking like a kafir? If you think like a kafir, that man may not want you. He might as well marry a kafir. This is the facts. And if you say, well, I don't want to hurt a woman's feelings by marrying her husband, well, she didn't own that husband. That's her husband by contract. It's not by ownership. It's by contract, not by ownership. It's a social contract. It is not a contract of ownership. Men are not a commodity. Women are not a commodity to be bought and sold. So we have to be very careful with the language. Men want women. Why art thou single? Why art thou alone? This is a question for you to ponder. It can be rhetorical or you could actually answer for it. This is not rocket surgery, as they say. It is not rocket science, it's not rocket surgery. This is the question. So think about it, ponder upon it. If you say, well, there aren't any good suitable men, that's fair enough. As I like to say, I like to repeat, buy a dog, die alone. Buy a dog, cat, die alone. You know, it is not natural for that to be. Most women are looking for a man to fit in their frame. They have plans, not only for themselves, they got plans for the man. So he's not even in the leadership anymore. I notice this a lot. The man is not even in the leadership anymore because the women would not relent. They would not give up their women's liberation. They would not give up their women's suffrage and these other things that the kuffar says are accomplishments. They won't give it up. Astaghfirullah Hadim. Yet they are alone and all they can brag about is the DMs. All of the DM requests. They can brag about that. They can brag about how many dudes whistle at them as they walk down the street, or the compliments they get in, in Walmart. They can brag about all of that. At the end of the day, these dudes ain't trying to marry you. And the most unnatural women mistake the desire for sex as a desire for marriage. No, these men don't want to marry you. These men want to have sex with you, and there's a very big difference. These are the same men that'll pass by a crackhead, scratching their genitals, put the crackhead in the car, and drive around the block. Very same men. They don't have any standards, any morals. They don't have any standards and morals. But we as Muslims are dignified individuals. We are marriage-minded individuals. So we want women. Us Muslim men want women. Why art thou alone? There aren't any good Muslim men. Okay. Aren't any good Muslim men. So and some sisters say we're gonna go out and make some Kafirs Muslim, which is totally impossible. We give dawah. Allah makes Muslims alone. Allah guides to Islam alone. So you say, I'm gonna go out and we're gonna make some Muslims. I'm gonna convert some. These Muslim sisters said that, which tells you they have a problem with the Aqidah on two different fronts. But they say we're gonna make some Muslims, get them to take Shahada, and we're gonna marry them. So if there are no good Muslim men, that means there are good Kafir men. Because a person that just takes Shahada to marry you hasn't even entered his Islamic frame yet. This is facts. He hasn't even got any Muslim legs yet. He can't even walk in Islam yet. He can't even pray yet alone. He has to pray behind somebody. And even he messes that up. All because you said there were no good Muslim men. And like I always say, have you ran through all of us? If you ran through all of us, then, I agree. I agree that you may have a perspective. I know lots of good Muslim brothers that can't find a good traditional natural woman. Every time they get into discussion and negotiation, the woman wants the man to make some really sus compromises in order to fit that woman's masculine frame. When in the first place they wanted a woman. They don't want a dude to be arguing with like he's a cellmate, arguing about whose turn it is to clean the cell, or whose turn it is to clean the toilet, or so on and so forth. Come on, this is too much. Anyway, men want women, yet you are still alone. So what is the problem? How can we alleviate it? How can we grow from this and remedy this issue? This has been your brother Saudi Mam for EXFAKTLY. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.